criminal justice, healing, education. Let's awaken the people. Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are currently watching. I am the lovely host, Holly Cisa, and this is Morning Mimosas Podcast, where we value human life, criminal justice, healing, and education for the Black and minority communities, with a note that we love all people. Now, before we get this episode started, we're just going to have a little chat with a few of our partners and give you guys some amazing deals today. So let's take a look at what we have for you guys today.
Jeanette Sayers here from Imuna Soaps and Essentials. Just wanted to send out a reminder for all of you Morning Mimosa community members. If you go to my website and use promo code MM23, you will get a percentage off of your entire order. And my website is www.emunahsoaps.com. God bless.
Hey y'all, it's Auntie Harley, CEO, founder, and owner, lots of hats, of Ganelle's Crafts. Speaking of hats, our signature product, the Flower Crown, can be found right at our Instagram page, Ganelle's Crafts. But that's not even why we're here. I'm here today, number one, to give a shameless plug for these do-rags, because y'all been eating these up, okay? And number two, I'm giving another shameless plug. If you mention the amazing podcast, Morning Mimosas, shout out to the beautiful host, Holly, at your checkout, you get $10 off your full order. And we make some of everything, baby, not just do-rags and hats. So definitely come see us over at Ganelle's Crafts. If we haven't made it already, if you send us an idea, we could probably make it for you. We adore you. We love you. From our family to yours, get you something handmade.
Guys, so I apologize if I'm lagging a little bit here, but those are some of our lovely partners. I have one more for you guys. I want to give a huge shout out to our photographer, Miss Misha Photography. I absolutely love her work. Worked with her over Juneteenth, as I am Miss Like Denver, as most of you guys know. And here's just a little something from her as well. And I just want to, formally welcome her to the Morning Mimosas family. Alrighty, guys. So that is all. Well, that's not all of our partners. That's just some of them. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of today's episode. Today, we're going to be speaking with Miss Joy Allen of North Carolina and her amazing self-defense businesses. So Before we do that, let's give her a proper morning mimosas welcome with this. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Once
Hey,
again, I
good
apologize for
afternoon.
the welcome, welcome, welcome to Morning Mimosas. We appreciate you guys being here. And we appreciate you being on the show, Miss Allen. How are you today? Once again, I apologize for the lagging issues.
No worries. I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. Glad to be here.
Awesome, 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 possum. So, guys, before we get into potatoes, as you guys know, this episode is called "In Her Defense," right? I did that little play on words because her business name, but I'll let her talk about that. Miss Allen, before we get started on your businesses, we care about the person behind the business, okay? So let's tell the morning most of viewers about you.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm Joy Allen, as you mentioned, here in Raleigh, North Carolina. I am so happily married to my husband, Christopher, of over 20 years. I've got two young adult children, but they're still my babies, 20 and 24, Jaron and Jasmine. And believe it or not, actually, these businesses that we're going to talk about today are my passion, but not my way of life, if you will, my vocation. I'm actually in clinical research, working in clinical data management and biostatistics, and I've been doing that for almost 30 years, not to age myself, but I certainly have a passion as well for clinical research and science. And, of course, getting help out to those who are not feeling well for whatever reason. I certainly believe in quality of life, and that feeds into the businesses that we will talk about today. So very happy to be here. I'm a blessed person and always happy to share what I can to help someone else.
Absolutely love it. So let's get into why we are here today. So your businesses incorporate self-defense, personal defense, and everything of that nature. What got you started in this passion of wanting to teach others how to protect themselves?
Great question. So I grew up, guns were around in terms of rifles, shotguns. My grandfather had them for hunting and things of that sort, but they weren't really in my house. And a lot of that, I came to find out later, economic reasons, also just culturally, there's a different stigma oftentimes on baby boomers, especially when it comes to firearms. And so my husband is a Marine Corps veteran. And when I turned 40, one of my bucket list items was to learn how to shoot. And so he did the right thing. He decided not to teach me himself. He signed me up for a class, and I went and shot that first shot, scared the bejesus out of me. But the second shot, I don't know, there was something about it that was empowering. It was fun. And so I started sort of picking it up as a hobby, and over the next few months, as I was taking classes, that I noticed. One was that no one else in class looked like me. There were almost zero females and certainly nobody else of color. And, I'm down here in the South. And so that was the first thing I noticed. The second thing I noticed was the cost. And I finally, just kind of looked and did some research and realized, honestly, I was doing this for fun, but the people who needed the information most, those who are in neighborhoods that are dangerous, those single mothers who have no one to help protect their families, there was no way they could afford it. And so those two things together really kind of sparked something in me. And that's what caused us, my husband and I, to start the businesses, first E3 Personal Defense, and then from there, Inner Peace Lady Shooting Clubs as well.
Wow, that is absolutely awesome. So it started off as something you were just, doing for fun, but then you put in that community aspect. Okay, there's people that actually really need this help. So let me, turn it into something. I absolutely love that. So my next question is, even though this is, everybody should know what this is, but for those who don't know, what is self-defense?
Oh, that's a great question. So, self defense, I believe, starts with self worth. There's no such thing as self defense if you don't believe you're worth defending. And so, I do spend a lot of time talking to young people, women, especially, honestly, a lot of people, many of them people of color, who, for whatever reason, it's almost ingrained in them to feel like they're lesser than or that they're not worthy of defending themselves. But self defense, although I like the gun side of it, it goes way beyond firearms. It starts with a mental decision that no matter what, I deserve to survive, I deserve to live life to its fullest, and I'm going to fight for that. And so everything that we do kind of centers around, if you will, confidence, self-defense, self-worth, and reminding everyone that you are worthy of defending yourself. So you've got to be prepared and ready to do so at any given time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when we are talking about self-defense, because obviously self-defense is, protecting oneself. But, sometimes, depending on the state that you are living in, they don't deem certain things self-defense. So I think you can only speak to North Carolina. What are the laws stipulating, when it pertains to self-defense, where you're from? I'd have to look for where I am. But sorry, Colorado people, that I don't know that. But I will get that information. But for North Carolina, Miss Allen, what do you know about that?
Absolutely. So most states are similar, but you're correct. The laws do vary from state to state. So everyone should make sure you do your research and check out what the laws are in your locale. But in general, in order to have legal, what we call legal self-defense or legal use of deadly force to defend one's life, there's some things that must be met in that scenario. One is there has to be an imminent threat to your life, a serious bodily injury or rape in most cases and in most states. And that might be worded slightly differently, but ultimately you have to be in a situation where you are in trouble right then, where your life is in danger. You also should never be the person who started or instigated that incident. So if you're out there starting a bunch of drama, if you don't know how to live a drama-free life, you certainly don't ever need to carry a firearm. That's going to be a problem for you. And we need to be very open, honest, and transparent about the attitudes that we have and the company that we keep as we're making these decisions. Another requirement is, you never want to use excessive force. I always tell people you win every fight you avoid. So stay situationally aware, be at peace with all people, just as scripture tells us to do. Be mindful that you're not, again, starting stuff. Make sure that if you do have to defend yourself, you don't meet that threat with any force in excess of what was presented to you. Very important. Also, in most states, while North Carolina is not one of these states, many states do require that you have to try and get out of the situation. You have to evade it if at all possible. So you do want to check that with your local laws as well. And just make sure that any other laws that apply in your particular state, that you're, again, aware of them and you follow all of them. Some laws will impact whether or not you can carry a firearm, even though they may not directly be firearm laws. So those are all things you want to keep in mind.
Thank you so much for answering that question, because I always wondered if it varied, but I think for the most part, the 50 states probably do it the same across the board. All right, so let's talk about what you specifically do for Raleigh and the greater Raleigh area. So what do you offer as far as self-defense and or personal defense?
Absolutely. So we basically love the firearms, if you will. So the majority of the classes that we offer through E3 Personal Defense are firearms classes. However, we do offer quite a few seminars and courses outside of that as well. In particular, we have our COP program. Our COP stands for Community Outreach Program, and this is a series of free courses that we actually offer for our community. So we offer all types of things like the NRA Refuse to Be a Victim seminars, where we can basically tailor it to the audience to teach people how to stay safe, whether you carry a gun or not. So this is a seminar where we talk about everything from setting up a home defense plan to sending your children to college and making sure that they are secure, to making sure that your vehicles are secure while you're at work. We cover all of that in those seminars. We also offer what we call empowerment parties, which I love, especially this time of year, where if we have a group of anybody, but the ladies tend to like them. If we have a group of anybody, 5 people or more, it can be a church, it can be a sorority, doesn't matter. We'll come and do a party where we talk about different ways to keep yourself safe. That party is free. We have products that we sell as well, things like stun guns and pepper sprays and personal alarms, defense keychains, all types of other tools that you can use outside of a firearm. So we do have some options outside of the guns, if you will. And then, of course, when we get to our gun classes, we offer everything from beginning level all the way up through instructor certification with both NRA and USCCA certifications. And on top of that, Rangemaster expertise as well. So really enjoy teaching those classes. The concealed carry is, of course, a very popular option. Also, lots of different things everywhere in between. And then lastly, we have our Inner Peace Ladies Shooting Club, where we meet monthly within 3 different areas right now in the state of North Carolina. And those courses, if you will, I won't say courses, I'll say meetings, consist of a small seminar, speech, or class, and then we get out on the range and all the ladies shoot together. So we work to build a community and camaraderie there, and again, focusing on building that confidence and just encouraging one another as queens as we go to the range to have some fun while also learning to protect ourselves. So lots going on there.
I absolutely love it. So if you are, as you guys know, I was born in Raleigh, North Carolina. So for my family and those of you that are in the Raleigh, North Carolina area, please, please, please go utilize their services. Please learn how to protect yourself and also learn how to be empowered. If I was back at home, I would definitely be there a few times a week. So please, please, please make sure that you're utilizing their services. Now, when it comes to self-defense, now we're going to speak on self-defense of women because we're both women. We obviously have to protect ourselves from, icky men and, maybe some icky women too. Unfortunately, it's not like a sex thing. But when it comes to self-defense for women, you're teaching them self-defense, but you're also teaching them to empower themselves, right? You're teaching them like, oh, you're worth this. Like, tell me some of the rhetoric that you would tell a woman who is coming out of like a domestic violence relationship, for example, and is taking your course to, make sure that she doesn't go through that again or just wants to protect herself in general. What would you tell that specific woman?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So I'll first say that it takes a community. It really takes a village. Every time we hear negative things, and those negative things become our personal labels, we need to counteract that, if you will, with just as many labels, with just as much, encouragement as we receive discouragement. I'm a person who has struggled my whole life with self-esteem issues. Everything from being a little girl taking dance classes and being the wrong color and the wrong size and not straight enough, not tall enough. You hear all of that over and over and over again, and you've got to have something to combat that. And that's why we believe so much in community. I can tell a woman all day long that she is a queen. I can tell her she's beautiful, that she's worth it all day long. But it's also my job to help her be surrounded by other people who will echo the same. That's when it begins to make an impact. But we also have to just remember, we've got to meet people where they are. So we do work with a lot of ladies who have dealt with domestic violence situations. I'll share one story just to kind of communicate how powerful this is for me. We were doing an introduction class maybe about 3 years ago now, and we had a young lady in class. She was very pleasant. She sat there, she took notes, she listened, she laughed. We got out on the range, we put the firearm in her hand, and she held on to it, followed the step-by-step instructions, took her first shot and hit a bullseye. And when she hit that bullseye, she put the gun down and she fell into my arms and started just sobbing uncontrollably. She started then telling me that she loved me. She wanted me to pray for her. I came to find out after that class, this young lady actually watched her dad shoot her mother in the head point blank just a year before taking our class. And so that class for her had nothing to do with learning how to shoot. It had nothing to do with being able to protect herself at that moment. For her, it was a personal victory. It was something that she had to get over and get past. And to have been a part of someone's deliverance and strength, that was very humbling for me. And she told me, I said, you hit a bullseye. She said, it doesn't even matter. I appreciate your patience. I was able to get past the one thing that I had to defeat within myself to heal from this trauma. And so I say that to say, if I can be very honest, I'm knocking on 50 years old. And when we do these classes, almost nobody comes in the class at 30, 40, 50 years old for the first time for no reason. Usually something that's happened. Either that person has been through a trauma, or they want to learn something new, or maybe, it's a bucket list item. Whatever the case may be, there's always a why. And if we as a community could look at people and get to know their why. Why are you looking for another job? Why are you looking for a husband? Why are you looking to shoot a gun? In that why, we'll begin to understand one another and the needs that we have so that we can feed into that. And that's how we begin to build, if you will, that confidence. Simply by letting the next person know that I care about you because you're worthy of being cared for. So I always say it's not about the gun. The gun is one tool that I've learned to use to help. But as a community in general, there are many tools that we're all doing the same thing. Because I'll tell you one thing about a woman, especially a woman of color. Once she knows that she and her family are worth defending, we will fight you tooth and nail. We will fight you in court. We will fight you with our fists. We will fight you with our tongue. Fighting is what we know how to do. But oftentimes we've been suppressed by the things that have happened in life. And we just need to encourage one another that, hey, it's okay to speak up and fight, not only for who you are, but for what you believe in. Your voice is worthy of being heard. Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love that. That was absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for giving your perspective on that. So if you guys are just joining us, we have the lovely Miss Joy Allen of Raleigh, North Carolina, and we are speaking on the subject of self-defense, not just for women, but also for men, because a lot of people seem to forget that men are also vulnerable targets as well. And that's actually, can we actually speak on that as women of color? On the men real quick. Men are also entitled to defend themselves as well. And it's just really, really sad that our society likes to demasculate our men for being human.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really sad. I just want you to speak on that for a second when it comes to like men, being able to defend themselves but not be looked at upon as like a sissy or feminine. Like, can you chime in on that as well? Because it bothers me.
Mm-hmm. It's hard, and specifically talking about men of color, it's almost a double-edged sword. I have a husband that I love dearly. I have a son, a dad, cousins, a brother, and I struggle for them, if you will, because on the one hand, if they're too strong, they're labeled, right? You're aggressive, you're angry, you're a criminal. Then on the other hand, if you're too, I guess we would say emotional, then you're labeled as soft, or as you said, you're a sissy, and it's a very difficult position for men to be put in. Men deserve as well to be able to defend themselves, not only physically, but emotionally. They deserve to defend themselves there as well. And it's a challenge in our society because of years and years of societal kind of stereotypes that I won't get into. I think we all know, more than we know about that. But it's certainly a challenge. And even now, I have a son who is very well versed with a firearm. He understands safety, but I prefer that he not carry one just because I don't want someone to say black man with a gun and then my son is gone. And unfortunately, right now, that is the reality that we live in. And so I encourage men as well, have the discussions, surround yourself with community that can support you and vouch for you. One thing I learned very early on, especially when it comes to our men in our community, if we stand up for one another, it makes a difference, right? We've got to stop standing up for one another after someone is dead and buried. Where is the community before the police officer does what they do? Where's the community before that young man is lost to a gang? Where's the community before, that young man is kicked out of the church? We really need to stand together and support the young men early on. And I'll say this too, it may not be popular, but moms, let these men be men. Your son is not your boyfriend.
Oh,
Your son is not your
Oh,
boo.
yes.
Let him be a man
Yes.
and
Preach.
the other men in the community to embrace him and give him an example. If whether his father is there or not, we have a community and we all need community. You can't be dad and mom. That's not how it works. You need that young man to have young men as well. So I'll leave that there.
I'm sorry. You see how the Holy Ghost like almost came out of me when you said that? I get
Mhm.
so frustrated when I see moms treat their sons like husbands and not let like a man come teach them how to be a man. Like, yes, us ladies, we can do it all. Yes, I don't disagree with that. But sometimes we need that help to get our
Yeah.
sons where we need to. I'm a mother of a son. He's only 3, but I had to scream when you said that because that's just
Mhm.
yes, 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 yes. But Miss Allen, you have given some amazing, amazing information today. I just let's keep going on the subject of self-defense. Um, Now, in a situation where I think we already may have touched on this, where somebody does end up using deadly force, I don't know if you know what the law is in North Carolina. How often do people actually get off with
Mm.
self-defense where you're from, if it is true self-defense?
Mhm. That's a great question. I don't have statistics right in front of me, but I can tell you some scenario based information. I think everybody, I'm just going to be frank, you need to understand even if you follow all the rules and all the laws to perfection, there's always a chance that you're going to be arrested, right? The police officers that are responding to the crime don't know the value of what's happening. They don't know all the details. So you're likely going to be arrested. The firearm that you use is likely going to be confiscated, and your home may be subject to search and seizure. So you need to know that up front. You're going to need an attorney. 100%. You're going to, so I always encourage, if you're going to carry a firearm, it's the responsible thing to do. You must have self-defense insurance. I don't know many out there who are just filthy rich and waiting to throw away two or $300,000. If that's you, that's fine, but most of us are not there. That is what the self-defense insurance is for. If I ever have to defend myself, I may not be able to come out of pocket to hire the best defense attorney, especially not a criminal attorney who specializes in shots fired cases. So I need to have that self defense insurance. It's the responsible thing to do. Even if you have no criminal charges that you're facing at all. Let's say they walk into your house, they can see clearly that someone broke in, you defended yourself, no criminal charges at all. You need to be aware that there's nothing in America that keeps anybody from suing you for anything civilly. And that's where most people lose their livelihood, is in civil cases. Again, that self-defense insurance is going to help you there because it's going to help you to protect your income. It will help you to protect your savings, all of that. And your family is worth that. So please, unfortunately, we see too many cases where people follow the law and they defend their lives, but they lose everything in civil court. Don't let that be you. The other thing I will say is take care of your body. We also see way too many people who save their lives with a gun just to die of a heart attack 2 weeks later. I don't know if you can hear me. I seem to have lost sound with you.